Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Anthony.
Today, let's talk about non-professional executor mistakes with probate real estate. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Let me flip that around. Mistakes that non-professional executors make when dealing with probate real estate. I don't know. It's still a mouthful. All right. So today we're going to describe some real-world examples of mistakes that our non-professional executor clients have been making when dealing with probate real estate. Don't mean to pick on anyone, but we're just trying to help other people learn from these mistakes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So first, dealing with tenants. We've talked at length about how tenants can be a nightmare in probate.
Our favorite.
Yeah, right. But don't make it worse, basically. So sometimes a non-professional executor, usually a family member or a friend, will get into it a little more kind of too personally with the tenants. Maybe they had too much history with the tenants, as is the case of recently. So if our executor helped the decedent in her final years, and during those final years, she didn't necessarily like, or she felt that the tenants were sort of taking advantage of the decedent, like kind of being a little sloppy with paying the rent and, maybe not cleaning up after themselves and so forth. So when the decedent did pass away, the executor had quite a few bones to pick with the tenants, where they park their cars, the condition of the property. There's just a lot of nitpicking and a lot of agitation, I guess you would say.
Yeah, that doesn't help this whole process.
We've talked about this. It's very hard.
Good timing.
If a tenant wants to be difficult and dig in, they can make it really bad for probate. You don't want to, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not agitate. You don't want to instigate them? Is that what I'm thinking?
Just don't poke the bear, right?
That's not what I was thinking, but that's fine.
No. Just let it go. It's not the time to bring that up. Yeah.
So in our example, what was the result? Our executor got into a huge fight face-to-face with the tenants on the property. The tenants called the police. I mean, it's not like the police arrested anyone, but it's just a huge dramatic production. Right. And we had to spend months litigating and negotiating how to get the tenants out, which was completely predictable for a professional executor to just even if the tenants were wrong, suck it up and avoid that headache.
Yes. Yep.
But again, we don't have history. We don't have the blood boiling because the months of, history that the executor had. But that's kind of the point of hiring an independent third party who's not going to get emotionally invested.
Yeah, we never had to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner or see them or anything else. We are just dealing with it professionally, right?
Yeah. Next, recent mistake that a non-professional executor makes when dealing with probate real estate is, knowing or not knowing what renovations are worth doing. We've talked in the past about what are some minimum renovations that almost always make sense, right? Whether it's a fresh coat of paint or, cleaning out the place. Some things, you kind of have to do them. Yeah.
Bare minimum. Yes. Yeah. You have to get the trash out.
Sure. But again,
make it smell fresh.
But again, if you have an executor who's a non-professional or personally invested. So we had one who was thinking the place is fine. It was not fine. Let me tell you, it was not fine. I with my own eyes, I saw it's not fine. But the executor had this attitude that, well, if it was good enough for my aunt to live there, it's good enough for any buyer.
There might be some sentimentalness. I don't know if that's the right word, but there, right? Like
I don't even know if that makes sense, but anyway,
it does. It does. If you have an elderly person that maybe that lived there and you like the way it looked, and that's always where Grandma was, and it was that feeling of, that's how she had it. But that's not what buyers are looking at.
Okay, fine. I mean, maybe that's ultimately what you need to recognize. But anyway, we declined. She declined an even basic paint job. And just, it's going to be a struggle to sell. So we shall see. Last mistake that a non-professional executor will sometimes make with probate real estate, mouthful, choosing the right broker.
Yes.
So, I'm kind of repeating, I feel like, but even in a normal situation, even in a normal situation, choosing the right broker can be kind of tricky. You got to make sure you have the right fit for the right property, for the right demeanor as a seller and what you're trying to accomplish. But again, it's even harder during probate.
Yes.
Because even if you do get lucky enough to find an excellent broker for the neighborhood, which is not always easy, you also have to make sure that excellent broker also understands probate issues.
Right.
And that's not always the case. I have a situation in my personal life where somebody's trying to buy a property, and neither the buyer's broker nor the seller's broker understood that the seller was in probate. So they were like the day before closing, and they were like, "Oh wait, we need something called letters testamentary before we can do this." And then only then did they realize that the heirs were not in agreement, so there was no property to sell. Yeah,
Okay.
So huge waste of everyone's time. I mean, that's an extreme example, but there are other nuanced.
It happens though.
Oh yeah, but there are many, many nuanced situations where if you don't have brokers who are experienced with probate, you just waste a lot of time and effort and money.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So in one of our situations, unfortunately, our non-professional executor hired a dreaded friend broker. And
Fun.
they can be great, but it's often like almost like a favor to a friend, and that this is not the time to be repaying debts through your estate. I mean, these are complicated situations.
Right.
Do that with your own house,
Right.
So in this situation, the broker was from out of state, strike one.
Oh.
It didn't seem to understand local customs and listed it at a very aggressively high price when with probate, you're trying to sell fast.
Right.
So just kind of 3 strikes right out of the gate. Yes, thank you.
Yes, got it.
So by listing it at such a high price, he psychologically pegged the executor's mind to this high value. Like, oh, this is what the house is worth. So now any offer that comes in is like, oh, that's too low. I know, and even if it's all very psychological. Yeah, an experienced broker would avoid that. I would hope.
You're going to lose a lot of buyers too, because when you see that listing for that price in that area, and you know that area, if you've been doing your homework, you're not even going to look at it.
Yeah.
And wait, is this the same one, right? That didn't do a coat of paint? So.
And the buyers will know that the seller has unrealistic expectations, and who wants to deal with that, right?
You don't, yeah.
So, in addition, the broker, once a deal finally came in, and the broker, this is not, so anyone who doesn't know, this is not common to New York, but the broker prepared the contract and had the amateur executor sign it. In New York, you have an attorney review the contract because there are a lot of nuances that can cause disadvantages and advantages and risk and unrisk that you need the attorney to review. But because it was a friend, he signed the contract, and there was a lot of risk and a lot of guarantees that were made that really didn't have to be made. So, I mean, what can you do?
You can't. And I know we feel like we're talking about this a lot lately, but unfortunately we keep seeing it a lot lately. Yeah. Oh, well, we are not friends with the family. We are professional, and we stay out of it. I definitely recommend How to Learn More About the Professional Executorship. Anthony's book, How to Hire an Executor, available on Amazon.
Very good. I mean, these sound like we're picking on our clients a little bit.
No.
I'm trying to save you all the headache of what we've seen other people go through. So that's all we're trying to do here.
Listen, when I tell my kids, learn from my mistakes, right? That's 100%. What we're doing. Learn from others' mistakes. Sure. Yep.
All right. Thank you, as always, Janice. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll talk about these topics and others soon next time. Take care.
Bye.